Hello everyone, and welcome to my Duel Today official news channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to Days of Our Lives spoilers for Wednesday, September 6, Harris Michaels' attempts to assist Ava Vitali will only cause additional problems. Prior to Harris diving for the hitwoman's weapon, which provided Ava the opportunity to pick it up and seem to fire it, E.J. Demira's hitwoman was only trying to kill them both. Rafe Hernandez will ultimately receive some urgent updates from Bayview because it will inevitably raise a lot of concerns. After Rafe and Jada Hunter make light of his victorious return to the position of police commissioner, it appears like Rafe will be called in to assist with this Ava and Harris situation. Even though E.J. took care to ensure that Joyce's actions couldn't be connected to him, he'll still come into trouble. Joyce won't be able to do her hitwoman duties. Therefore, E.J. might hire someone person to kill Ava and Xander Cook in place of her. Days spoilers indicate that Johnny Demira will throw E.J. a curveball, so he might show up and overhear E.J. giving yet another set of lethal orders. It might leave E.J., who is ready to avenge himself, with a warning for interested Johnny. According to other Days spoilers, Wendy Shin and Trip Johnson will spend the night together at the Salem Inn. Fans of DOL are aware that Wendy and Trip have attempted this before, that they will be hoping for better success and avoiding interruptions this time. Unfortunately, given all the Ava commotion going on, the timing doesn't seem ideal yet again. It won't be shocking if Ava contacts Trip at the worst possible time because she might need him to calm her down after the incident. Maybe Trip will be called to Bayview for another visit with Ava in her frail state just before Trip and Wendy may finally have their first kiss. On the other hand, Trip might be required back at the hospital if there is a staffing shortage and the incident in Bayview necessitates medical treatment. Talia Hunter, Elia Cantu, will arrive in the hopes of finalizing her new employment there. Thus, she might witness some chaos firsthand. Whatever the case, Wendy may assure Trip that she comprehends, but she may secretly feel impatient and consider whether the world might be trying to communicate with them. Is there a justification for Trip and Wendy's struggles to get into bed together? Could Days be setting up Wendy and Trip to discover their relationship isn't meant to be? According to the Tuesday, September 5, Days of Our Lives spoilers, Chloe Lane informed Nicole Walker of Philip Kyriakis' survival and the fact that he had falsely accused Brady Black and been committed to a mental hospital. Nicole thought it was excellent that Philip was doing better now because Chloe didn't have to with Xander Cook. Nicole pretended that you could never truly move on from your first love as she persuaded Chloe to reconcile with Philip. Nicole and Chloe ultimately decided not to become involved in each other's romantic relationships after Chloe reminded Nicole that she could say the same thing about her relationship with Eric Brady. In Tuesday's Days episode, Nicole and Chloe ultimately reneged on their agreement. Sloane Peterson insisted at the hospital that she needed to speak with Eric about something before expressing her sorrow about the infant. Sloane was desperate to have a child with Eric, but he insisted that it wasn't her fault and reassured her that they still had each other. After Sloane was discharged from the hospital, Eric agreed to meet her later at the bar since she wanted to go for a walk and relax. In the park, E.J. spoke with Joyce, a hitwoman who gave him the assurance that she would kill Ava Vitali and that he wouldn't be found out. Joyce was taken aback since she had assumed E.J. no longer engaged in behavior of this nature. But he insisted that this was an exception because it was a personal matter. E.J. gave Joyce a large envelope full of cash and instructed her to make sure Xander followed Ava to the grave after deciding he didn't want to know the specifics. When Sloane arrived, he discovered E.J. talking to a photo of Susan Banks on his phone. Sloane hinted that it might not turn out well, even if she acknowledged the need to exact revenge on a parent. Before presuming that the child he was carrying with Nicole would only serve to further aggravate Eric's pain, E.J. expressed Sloane his condolences for the death of her child. Sloane became angered by this, so she pretended that E.J. didn't really mean his sympathies. While EJ argued that he did, he also made a suggestion that perhaps being a father was simply not in the cards for Eric. EJ hoped Sloane was correct, and that she would become a mother because she suggested that perhaps it was and was arrogant about it. On Tuesday's episode of Derailed, Theresa Donovan, Jen Lilly, argued with Xander outside the bar and was horrified to discover that he had persuaded Chloe to marry him. Theresa was being pulled by Xander as the debate heated up, and Eric had to step in to stop it. Theresa thanked her cousin and apologized after Eric stopped the beating and persuaded Xander to leave after learning about the miscarriage. Theresa offered Eric a hug and expressed her belief that any child would be fortunate to have Eric as a father. Theresa momentarily suggested that perhaps Eric might speak on her behalf to Brady, but ultimately she decided she could do this herself. Theresa was about to call Brady but decided against it so as not to appear overly desperate on day one. However, Theresa remained steadfast in her belief that Brady and she belonged together. Sloane sat down with Eric at a table inside the bar and sounded enthusiastic as she inquired about his thoughts on the prospect of them adopting a child. On Tuesday's episode of Days at the Kyriakis mansion, Rex Brady told Sarah Horton that he believed they should get married before the baby was born. Sarah resisted getting engaged before Victor Kyriakis' burial, but she said that was because she didn't feel good about it. After Philip arrived, he updated Sarah and Rex on his release after Brady dropped the charges against him. When Philip noticed that Sarah was pregnant and inquired about the father, Rex feigned nervousness and said he was going to marry Sarah. Philip admitted to Rex that despite having his feet firmly on the ground in reality at the time, he was still madly in love with Chloe. Philip insisted he wouldn't attempt to separate Xander and Chloe, and Rex didn't want to see him do anything that may endanger his rehabilitation. Rex said that since Xander wouldn't be free to pursue Sarah, it worked out perfectly for him. Following Philip's departure, Sarah reconnected with Rex, who argued that Xander marrying Chloe would be best for everyone. Philip praised Chloe for standing up for him with Brady when they bumped into each other in the town plaza. Philip seemed annoyed that Chloe was with someone he thought was creepy, and Xander came along to steal her away for supper. EJ appeared to be a little preoccupied with his phone as he arrived with Nicole to the Demera estate. EJ reassured Nicole that he was simply awaiting confirmation from a colleague that she had finalized a contract. At Bayview, Ava reassured Harris that Susan was still alive because she had seen Susan exit the vehicle just prior to the explosion. Ava was convinced of that, but she denied knowing where Susan went or where she had been during this period. The hitwoman then pretended to be a member of the Bayview staff and appeared to be there to provide Ava's new prescription. Since Ava didn't typically receive injections, Harris advised her to call her doctor first since she was concerned. Joyce pulled a revolver and determined they have to do this the hard way before Ava could get confirmation, which meant both Ava and Harris were going down. After a while, Joyce attempted to choke Harris while Ava grabbed up the gun and pointed it. Harris then lunged at Joyce. As Tuesday's Days program came to a close, a pow was heard. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.